A very good evening to everyone. Welcome to the stream this Monday night. I'm Ryan Hill. I'm with you in the booth, and this is Sim Race South Africa, coming at you with a brand new series for 2024. We are in the Renault Clio Cup RS5s, and I'm really looking forward to this championship over the next couple of months. We have 5 rounds to see us out tonight, and as you can see from the footage in the background, we are at a lesser known track. It is in Australia, Western Australia, and it is known as Barbagallo. Formerly, well, actually, I think currently known as Wanneroo Park, and there's also goes by a sponsorship name of carco.com.au Raceway. Oh, that's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah, that's how sometimes racing sponsorship goes for naming rights reasons. But absolutely looking to see how our top split Division 1 gets on tonight around this track. A little bit about the track, just very briefly. Modeled and created in 1969, 55 odd years ago. It's still in use today for some major events, including the Repco Supercars. Supercar Championship in Australia is very popular, of course. It's held for way back in the past. It formed part of the Australian Grand Prix in 1979, and it also held some cool stuff like super trucks, the Australian Grand Prix itself, F4 championships, that sort of thing. And it's also a popular bike track, and this is for the superbikes. And there's a couple of different layouts on track. You can see some lighter grey bars on your screen and such, but tonight we'll be doing the full circuit with these Clio Cups, 7 turns in all. Very interesting corner. The last corner, T7, has the potential for some track cut penalties, which our stewards will be on standby to review if any drivers have them reported. And we're also going to be taking you through a fast lap presented by Nick Hodgson just in a little bit, and you'll then be able to see what a fast lap around here looks like tonight. In terms of weather forecasts, we do have 2 back-to-back races. It's clear weather essentially. Time of day is going to be set to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Road conditions are just slightly higher above the ambient, but there is some variation in play, meaning that we'll have a calculated road temp of between 28 and 34 degrees Celsius. So we'll have to see how that gets on in the live session, and certainly between the 2 race rounds itself. In terms of drivers who we have on track tonight, so the Division 1 registered lot is over here, sorted by their current simracing.gp rank. We have headed up by Nick Hodgson himself, Sas van der Vestes and Sean Bingham rounding out those top 3, but a lot of other guys nipping on their heels. Good to see a full field out tonight. I think Hardest Boyce is the only driver who sent in apologies for tonight and has put in a skip round. But everyone else, I think we can expect to see out on track. In terms of how they got to that division, we ran something called the HLQ, that stands for Hot Lap Qualifying, prior to the season getting off. And that was run on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and these are just some of the lap times that were posted during that week or two of that. And Ross Bartle topped the charts with a 52.948, with Nick Hudson nipping at his heels, followed by Brett Kokamp. Expect to see all those drivers out on track tonight and hot favorites to win. But before we get into the action, we'll be joining with qualifying. Enjoy this hot lap guide presented by Nick. Don't go anywhere.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 2024.2A season here at SimRace SA. This is the first round for the simClio Cup at Barbagallo, and we are about to do a hot lap coming around the last corner. Make sure you get a great exit so you get the most amount of speed going over the start finish line in fourth gear, looking for our braking point just past the cone on the left, down to third gear. Don't use second. Allow the torque of this little Clio to pull you out of the corner and keep as nice and tight as you possibly can through the S's here. Turns 2 and 3, not really turns, absolutely flat out, down to third gear once more for turn 4, very tight through turn 4, straighten the car up and flicking into fourth gear a little bit early. You'll find that this car has the torque, you can shift a little bit earlier, sticking all the way out wide for turn 6 and cutting in hard and on the power as early as you possibly can. You want to get the best exit possible out of turn 6 all the way down this long straight. Again, you can see me shifting slightly early into fourth and then slightly early into fifth as we go up and over the crest of the Tate straight, looking for our braking point just before that shadow, getting the car turned in early and back on the power early through turn 7, and we'll go across the line for a 1 minute 5.942.
Awesome stuff. Thanks very much, Nick. We now cut over to live action from the server right now. We're currently in practice, just allowing drivers to have some time to join the server, get set up, comfortable for the evening, have their setups all set up, and put in some very last minute laps just to get acclimatized to what the server is doing in terms of conditions, in terms of the weather. Those of you watching at home, you can keep an eye on the weather forecast itself in the top right hand corner of your screen, including the grip levels for the track, as we just watched Sas van der Vestes in the foreground make his way around. But essentially grip levels right now are sitting at 97%, which is classified as fast. You should see that develop as drivers continue to lay rubber down on track. And I'm sure at least by race 1, certainly by race 2, we should be seeing optimal track conditions. The ambient is currently reading out as 27 degrees Celsius and road temperature of 32 degrees. That's all skirting the track limits there as you watch the footage, just with that curving. And wind speed also really is pretty much negligible, 3 kilometers an hour, so that's not really going to affect anything today on track. Just walk you through some of the other overlays we have on screen. What I am going to do while we speak is actually just go and increase the font size for the tower, so just bear with me while we do that, because I realize that may not be super legible right now. So let's see if I can find the class standing page for you and just bump that up a couple clicks. But essentially what we have on screen, the top left corner, we have a full tower, including the current lap times, sector times for lap records and such. Current lap records for the track today should be shown in purple, personal bests in green, white is just normal, of course. And then there's an indication of the number boards on the cars as well. In the bottom middle of your screen, you're going to see some track map in the bottom leftish corner. Blue will essentially be the car that I'm currently focused on. I'm currently watching Ross Bartle come up to some traffic here, and there's a little bit of a worm graph above his name. You can also see that he's currently done a purple sector, sector 2, currently the best of anyone else on track right now, and he crosses the line with a very respectable time of a 106.471 being his best. It's not currently best or good enough to be on the front row. That's currently off in the honors of Sean Bingham, currently topping it around at a 106.325. Brett Kokamp is next alongside him on the grid. Oh, he's just saying that. He's just been put to that post by Nick Hodson, who clocks in a 106.331. But as you can really see in the top right, the track grip has improved from 97 to 98%. So I expect these times to continue tumbling as rubber continues to get laid down. The lap times are going to continue to improve. The drivers out on track tonight just to kind of say hi to the field. We have Jeremy de Villiers out there in purple number 13 or pink number 13 car. We have Mike McGear, recently promoted to Division 1, looking for a strong outing, I'm sure. Greg Bart as well, fellow administrator for SimRace South Africa, is out there currently putting in some warm-up laps. We have Ryan Ludick and Mikhail Matthews. Quite a few cars in the number 13 pink livery. I don't know if they pull the notifications to customize your car. They should be able to do that hopefully before next round if they so wish. We have Melvin Khoos as well with us from Namibia, currently sitting in the pit lane. It looks like he's put in maybe a banker lap of a 108.591, but that's not enough to put him any higher positions up the grid right now, so I'm sure he's looking to get out again. Timothy Gomez as well, I have on record as having left the service, so let's see if he can manage to get back in. But there's still a little over 5 minutes left of practice, so there is some time for these drivers to be getting in into the server. And meanwhile, we'll go and hit the visor cam of Ross Bartle and just see how he's getting on here. Carefully feathering it around T1 there, just putting on the pace now through T2 and 3. Sorry, that was tier T2 and 3 he was teetering around, of course. Now he's on a little bit of a back straight. One of the back straights. Into T6 cold corner, aka the basin. Long sweeping right-hander early on the power. Not improving this lap time. I think this is essentially going to be an outlap for him. We can get his top speed in the bottom right-hand corner there, as well as gears that he's in and his pedal inputs. Carefully trying not to exceed track limits. There he is. And now he's going to be heading across the line to start a flying lap. And he has Mikhail Matthews for company just behind him. Big ups to everyone in the live chat currently. How's it delightful? Soul the Machine. Good to see everyone. Do feel free to ask any questions if you're new here. I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. Offer up any additional information. This is looking over the rear left wheel of Ross Bartle into Mikhail Matthews, who's just behind. Puff of smoke from the tires, big puffs of smoke. The guys are almost drifting around these corners. But I think that's maybe just an element of these Renault Clios. Some weird shadowy artifacts happening with the track as well. Sometimes mod tracks, especially with an aging game like Assetto Corsa, over 10 years old now this game is. We're eagerly awaiting the release of Assetto Corsa Evo, aka Assetto Corsa 2, which is slated for early access release towards the tail end of this year, hopefully in time for Christmas, I imagine. So tonight, up for you after practice, of course, we're going to go into a qualifying session. It is a 10-minute quali session. a bit of a shootout, and that'll form the grid for race 1. It is a 20-minute sprint race, no pit stops required. And then after a short break, it's about 3 or 4 minutes, we will have another set of practice and qualifying, but essentially the not a second session of qualifying. Instead of a second session of qualifying, we will be having a second race, which will be a top 10 reverse grid. So normally expected to be about 15 drivers on track. Tonight I think there's a few that have excused themselves, but it looks like as a result we'll probably pretty much get the entire field reversed. Perhaps bar one, if I'm seeing 11 drivers currently on the practice server, but maybe some more will manage to make it in. Soul Machine based in Cape Town. That's my old city where I used to live before I moved over to the United Kingdom. Do miss Cape Town dearly. I am aiming to be back there in December, catch some good weather, stock up on some good wines. So Nick Hodgson is currently taking, I don't want to say pole position, it's practice of course, but currently taking top honors with a 105.927. So he's the first driver to dip, oh no, sorry, he's not the first to dip into the 105s. We have our top 3 all in the 105.9s, Nick Hodgson, Ross Bartle and Sean Bingham. As Brett Kirkhope rounds the final corner, just riding that curb quite nicely here and across the line. 106.253 as his last. So the 2 sets of times you see in the tower in your top left, the first will be their best lap and the second number readout will be their last lap captured. In the bottom right we also have it's abbreviated to PRED, standing for predicted, and that's essentially stitching up their best sector times and how they're currently doing in sector times to try and see where they're going to go out. As Brett has that's one way of stopping your car, just doing a little bit of a spin. Just a question coming from the chat while we wait. Practice has hit 0-0 on the clock, so we will be ticking over to quali shortly. The question in chat is, how does one start in this type of sim racing in terms of making the cut, etc., where to sign up? So all of the details you can find on our website, which will lead you to our Discord server. I'll place that in the chat shortly. I'll also, just for reference purposes, put the shortcut to the Discord server in the chat as well, so you can have a direct link to there. We run everything admin via the Discord, so essentially there'll be channels in there where you can select roles for the different championships that you're interested in. We of course do many things at SimRace South Africa, not just Assetto Corsa with the Clio Cups. We have a GT3 series running on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We have a rally series which is currently running on Richard Burns Rally, but I believe there are plans to move to WRC in a couple months' time, just in the interest of moving to a new platform. We have a hot lap competition currently going on, Race Room Racing Experience, or RR3E, and we also have what we call the ad hocs, where essentially any sim we might just load up for fun, usually on a Wednesday night, and it's essentially free to enter for everyone. If you want to take place in any of the championships, so that's the Clio Cup here or the GT3 series, you simply need to grab the role on Discord, and you will see channels there, sign-up channels essentially. We'll have information on where you can join the respective divisions. Late joiners will unfortunately need to join the lowest division, but our championships are currently running for 3 months and then rotate to a new one, and then there'll be hot lap qualifying in between. So it's generally good for newbies anyway to be joining the lowest division, just to be, not swamped by the fast guys coming through. We are ticking over into qualifying. I'm going to take you to a quick 2-minute break and then we'll be right back. And we are back live with qualifying. So this is where it all counts. Currently, putting in purple sectors is Jeremy de Villiers, but I believe that is essentially everyone out on their outlaps. So we might see a whole lot of shuffling around. Track conditions right now have ticked over to 100%, so the track is ripe and ready for everyone to put in their best laps. And provided they don't get stuck in traffic, but this is a short-ish track, but I mean with a grid of about, it looks like 12 drivers now we have in tonight. You should in theory be able to place your car out in a relatively good position. Nice aerial views we're getting there of the entire circuit. We'll go in tight when we need to. Jeremy de Villiers right now is being hotly followed by Sas van der Westhuizen. As you can see right up his trumpet there, and sure, Sas maybe just going to see if he can eke out a 10th or something just from pulling into slipstream across the lap. Obviously doesn't want to upset not only his lap, but to upset Jeremy's lap either. So depending on this, he may make a decision to just hang back and put himself back into some clean air. But for the time being, he is starting a quick clack now across the line. And we'll just stay on him TV footage for now, just see how he gets on. A light glistening off the bodywork there, puff of smoke as the guys go around. Navigating T2 and 3, the Bianti S's. Heading into Shell corner now. T4. And onto the first of the back straight. We'll keep an eye on his top speed, and the bottom left hand corner looks like topping out at about 180, just shy. And before he has to brake super hard for cold corner, T6 is the basin. Just making his way down the final back straight now. Is even a longer one. There's a bit of a hill to climb though. Down the hill again, so you'll reach a higher speed. Looks like he topped out at 190 there. And before he has to brake, keep it neat inside that curbing. You're not allowed to run over it for track limits purposes. And he's banked a 106.147, which is good enough for 6th right now. So I'm sure he'll be looking to improve. Meanwhile, Brett Crowcamp has just crossed the line of the 105.819 to hit provisional pole. Sure, it won't be long before it's beaten. Sean Bingham, meanwhile, has the best sector 2-time. Ross Barkle has just now pipped him to provisional pole. But Sean Bingham still has the quickest middle sector with a 22.9. He's the only one in the 22s of that middle sector. He needs to find some time in Sector 1 in the final sector if he wants to have a chance of reaching that front row and just pipping either Brett Crocump or Ross Bartle, who currently hold those provisional positions. Quick jump down to Mike McGear now, who is, I think, out pretty much on an out lap. And he'll be approaching the final corner now to start his fast lap. The S's in the tower essentially indicate what tyre compound the driver's on, so S being for soft ice. I'm pretty sure though that all of these cars essentially just have one compound. In fact, it might be street. Standing for street instead of soft, that is, but regardless, it's essentially one tire that everyone will be on. As Mike McGear just bails out of that lap actually and resets to pits. Ryan Ludick meanwhile tucked in behind Timothy Gomez, and they're heading their way down the back straight as we see Greg Hofart leaving the pit lane, just yielding for them already on a fast lap, doing the right thing while you're in qualifying. While you're in qualifying, drivers essentially need to yield to those already on fast laps coming through, and it's essentially the opposite during race conditions, where drivers leaving the pits from essentially their pit stops or whatever else will have right of way, and will most likely get the benefit of the doubt if there's any sort of collisions or impeding or anything like that as the guys in the racing are coming through. Ross Bartle riding those curbs, getting very squiggly over that. That's not going to be a great lap, of course. It may even compromise his part of his flying lap that he's attempting to do now in the last 2.5-ish minutes. That's already a significant margin down on his delta, so I think literally just messing up that final curve has compromised his entire lap. Sean Bingham, who we are on TV side now, he is pretty much on his delta, plus 0.03, 0.5, dancing around there. He's on his delta. He had a PB in Sector 1, down on Sector 2, which he was extremely strong with earlier in the qualifying session. Cuts across the line now to have a purple sector of Sector 3, and that's bumped him up back up to provisional second, just behind Ross Bartle, still taking front row. Look at Mikhail Matthews, who's slightly up on his delta, also about to round that final corner. He has a purple sector of Sector 1, not so good Sector 2. Let's see how he goes across the line now. Currently in P3, does he improve? And it's not enough to improve. That was a slower Sector 3 in addition to a second sector, which let him down. So sticks around for P3 right now. Nick Hodgson, meanwhile, not the greatest Sector 1. Sector 2, it looks like he is putting in a personal best, and he's about to round the final corner now. And let's see if he can improve up from P4. He's down on his delta though, so he's actually not going to be doing it this lap. Even though he puts in a purple Sector 3, but it's the overall lap that counts, so no improvement there for Nick. But good to see that the personal best or best lap purple sectors are being bounced around a few drivers right now. And Ross Bartle comes in to try and improve and defend his provisional pole. He has a 105.659 to beat, and he puts a 105.8. No improvement there yet for Ross Bartle, but still seems to be safe. With just under 30 seconds left, Sean Bingham is pretty much slightly behind his delta right now. Anyone else that can challenge Brett Crocump? Rounding the final corner, he's slightly down on his delta. It's not going to be this lap. Sas van der Westhuizen's in the pits. Jeremy de Villiers, it's 0.2 down on his delta. Is not going to happen. Ryan Ludick is in the pits. And Greg Hofart is making up a great bunch of time on his delta there. It was up 0.30. Split seems to have lost that time right now, but that is certainly a personal best Sector 1 time, as we'll just give him the benefit of seeing how far he can jump up here. Currently in P9, and he bled off a lot of speed there. You can see a lot of tire smoke, or bled off a lot of speed essentially, and is essentially done well with that lap. Ross Bartle meanwhile rounds the final corner and finish line now again, but no improvement. Sean Bingham's already in the pits. Mikhail Matthews, second down on his deltas, is going to be no improvement for him. Greg Hopart across the line now, no improvement. Mike McGear is a 10th down on his best, rounding the final corner now. So I think this is where the cars are going to end up. And Ross Bartle takes pole position. Sean Bingham alongside on the front row, Mikhail Matthews in P3 and Nick Hodson P4. That's lining up on row 2 essentially. Don't go anywhere, we will be back with a race in a short 30 seconds. Sorry to cut that short. We are heading onto the track with just 30 seconds left for drivers to prepare. And as soon as you see 6 red lights on the track lighting up, as soon as they go off, we will be racing. The countdown will occur from 10 seconds. Here the lights come on now. And it'll be a random time before they all shut off, and we are racing live with race 1 of 2 tonight. Ross Bartle gets a great start. Sean Bingham alongside Mikhail Matthews and Nick Hodson in 3rd and 4th. There's a little bit of a pushing to the side of the track there, further down. I think that might be around about the Sass Van der Verstesen and Brett Crocomp side. A little bit of a sideways actually. I think Sass got his tail end onto the back of Brett Crocomp, but meanwhile Ross Bartle has safely slipped in front of Sean Bingham to make that position here, and it looks like all the cars have gotten around the first corner safely according to the track map. No big incidents there as we are on our way racing with race 1. The top 3 already have a bit of a breakaway, as you can see here. Mikhail Matthews in P4, a little bit behind. In fact, it's Brett Crocomp who has just managed to nip that position from him in the white Renault Clio in front of Mikhail Matthews, first of the pink number 13s. And there in the foreground you can see the top 3 making their way around the final corner, and Brett Crocomp essentially leading the rest of the pack right now. And I'm going to go on board with Sass Van der Verstesen, who is all over the back of Mikhail Matthews. This is a battle for P5. As we can see, tons of tire smoke ahead. The guys just making their way through Shell Corner T4. Into the braking zone. Sass has a kind of a little look up the inside. Mikhail Matthews taking a nice wide line to not bleed off too much speed. Tire smoke galore pouring off these cars. Down the long back straight, they all go, topping up at about 190 kilometers an hour. Tires smoking through the final corner. Drivers will need to watch those curbs, otherwise they'll hear the wrath of the stewards. Post-race penalties. And we are off on it for another lap. Question from the chat: what DLC is required for this car and track setup? So both the car and the track tonight are essentially free mods that you can download from the overtake.gg website, formerly known as Race Department. And all the links for the tracks and cars in the championship are available on the simracing.gp platform, which we use to manage our championships and host our servers. All over the back here, Nick Hodson, this is Sean Bingham, fight for P2. And that fight has allowed Ross Bartle to open up a little bit of a gap there in P1, as you can see. But we're staying on trackside here with Sean Bingham's red and black car number 43. Just heading into... Oh, he goes a little bit late on the brakes there, and I think managed to avoid contact, but he's going to be sent very wide, and I think now he just has to take a little bit of avoiding action on the white Renault Clio Cup, who is allowed through. I believe he would need to have yielded that position anyway, so as not to have overtaken a car off track. But around he goes and slots back in to P4, and that's allowed Brett Kirkamp up into the provisional podium position. Hopping a little bit further down the field, Ryan Ludick is currently in P7, looking to battle for P6, which is the car of Sas van der Westhuizen ahead of him. We'll go onto the dash cam, just have a look at how this can go. You can see essentially where all the rubber is being laid down, especially where there's tire smoke, is a good indication. Just where drivers can maybe find the grip levels, and certainly also where the heavy braking zones are. As cars, this is the final corner they're coming through there. This is that curb that is a raised bit of a sausage curb that they need to avoid hitting too hard. Firstly, to make sure they don't exceed track limits. Secondly, to make sure it literally doesn't unsettle their car and compromise their lap. And certainly positions if there are cars behind them, on which there is a large train right now. And Mike McGear, who is all up the back of Jeremy de Villiers. Mike, having recently been promoted into Division 1 following that hot lap qualifying, he's earned his spot and he's looking to challenge Jeremy de Villiers right now for P8 in this race. Reminder, the top 10 drivers after this race 1 will be reversed their positions into race 2. Oh, there's some contact happening there. I think a little bit of an bargy or door side action, trying to get a tighter TV camera slot, but these cranes seem to be quite far away from the track in places. But both drivers managing to keep it pointed in the right direction as they come up to the final corner again, with Jeremy de Villiers managing to stay in front. And he'll be running slightly towards the inside, I'm sure, just to try and take that defensive position. In fact, he next takes a nice wide outside line, not feeling too threatened right now. And Mike McGear in yellow, you can see sort of waving around behind him, trying to find the best opportunity to pass, as we see not Marmite, I think that's a Vegemite hot air balloon, being Australia, of course. And almost drifting their way through T5 Skyline corner here. This is one of the closest battles on track right now. I'm going to hop a little bit further down the track. We see Mike McGear, Melvin Kroos, our resident Namibian, one of them all over the back of Greg Hofart. Let's go onto the bumper cam with now as he pulls over to the outside. I don't know if he's going to be able to make, he might be able to make a move stick here if he keeps it nice and tidy, but he's going to run out of room. Ooh, Greg needs to leave some room. I think he left racing cars with there just enough to keep those two tires inside, which is essentially the track limit rule. There's going to be some side-by-side door banging here as we go through into T1, and Melvin Kroos has the inside line and has actually made that pass on Greg Hofart for now. Can he keep it? It looks like he has been able to through the Bianti S's. So great racing there from both drivers. Respect shown for just enough room. Hard racing, but clean racing. And oh, there's a big drift by Melvin Coates. He has some fun around Shoal Corner, but that's essentially lost him out on the position back to Greg Hofart. So some excellent racing going on here. Some entertaining racing as well with the drifts. And let's hop back up a little bit upfield here. Brett Crocump is 0.7 seconds behind. Nick Hodson still challenging to improve his podium position. P3, this is the battle for P2. Rounding the final corner goes Nick. And followed by Brett Crocump, currently on board the dash cam. He has, it looks like Sean Bingham up his rear, just looking threatening on his rear quarter panel bodywork there. And he has to pull out of it, and that's brought Mikhail Matthews right up close as well into this battle, all for P3 essentially, fighting for that final podium spot at the moment. Vegemite Balloon very prominent in the background there as the cars make their way through. So again, this is just our top division tonight, Division 1, known as Split 1. There are approximately 60 or 70 drivers that signed up for the Renault Clio Cup, and we divided them up into various divisions tonight. We have, just based on the RSVPs, 4 divisions currently running. And a reminder again to anyone watching that you're most welcome to join. Simply head over to our website where you can find our Discord link. And there you'll be able to self-sign up to the racing and take part in all the fun. How's it the hardest boys in chat? Good to see you around. Hardest was also one of the top-rated Division 1 drivers tonight, but needed to opt to take a skip round. I wish you all the well and best in round 2 when it comes around. So other tracks you can look forward to in the calendar. We will be heading to Thruxton for round 2 in the UK. Then across to Bridgehampton, Biker Nicky, and the High Speed Ring, and then we'll be ending off the season in Germany in Sachsenring, which we've raced on before. We also did an ad hoc with it the other day with the Volvo S40s, which was quite a lot of fun. Some nice panoramic views of the track. We're going to go in tight now and have a look at a little battle that's developing a little further down the track here with 3-4 cars. This is the battle for P7 with Ryan Ludick heading the track. There's some side-by-sides by Jeremy de Villiers, and behind them is the yellow car of Mike McGeer. And with them, I think essentially, looking to lead this pack as well, just a little bit further broken away is Thas van der Westhuizen. But all 3 or 4 of these drivers close to neck and neck. There's going to be some side-by-side scraping here, a little bit of a bang-bang. But these cars able to shrug off some of the knocks and keep going for some hard racing. Mike Mega is tucked in there as well in the yellow. Keep an eye on him. We're actually going to go on board with him and see what he can manage to do here. Up the bumper of Jeremy de Villiers. He pulls out to the left. Oh, there's got to leave room, Jeremy. Got to leave room. And just enough racing width there. Knowing the width of the cars very closely, Mike McGeer looking to pounce on any sort of mistakes happening. And what we might even be able to do is go and look at the action from the rear of Thas van der Westhuizen's left rear tyre. The brakes are glowing hot there, or it might just be reflections from the boards. They're around the final corner. Who's going to take it? Is this going to be a bit of a drag race up the main straight? Looks like, I want to say Ryan Ludick has the inside there. Jeremy de Villiers slightly overlapped on the outside. There's some contact. Can the drivers hold it as they essentially go drifting around T1? Mike McGeer still in the hunt there as well. Ooh, a little bit of contact on the rear panel there, but manages to keep it going and not perform an excellent pit maneuver on anyone as well. These 3 drivers smoking it around the track. Neck and neck, keeping it together. Another look Ryan Ludick has up the rear of Jeremy de Villiers, just leading the tree right now. And I need to hop back up to Sean Bingham as well, who's 0.2 behind Brett Crocombe now rounding the final corner. Brett in the plain white, Sean Bingham in the red and black. This is fighting for the final podium position, P3, as it's drag up the main straight. No late braking, but he did look to get nice and close up there off the rear of Brett Crocombe. Sean Bingham did. And Sean is flying right now. He's actually put in the fastest lap of the race, the 105.787. Certainly got the pace. Now these cars have just settled down a bit. I'm going to head back to that battle down further track. Mike McGear, and it looks like Greg Hofart has managed to catch the back of this pack as well. With Mike McGear in the yellow, Greg Hofart in the orange. We're going to go a little bit tighter. I'll stay focused on Mike McGear to give us sort of a viewpoint. Sas van der Westhuizen in the foreground there opened up a big gap now. Jeremy de Villiers is also making a little bit of a breakaway, so Ryan Ludwig leads the three then of himself, Mike McGear and Greg Hofart. They're actually overlapping. Mike McGear's on the inside. Can he make a move? Can he make it stick? He has to slip back behind just to have a chance of making that corner safely, not exceeding track limits. Across the line, they shoot again. 6 minutes 24 seconds left. All trying to get as many points as possible in the bag. There might be some strategy as well towards the tail end, of course, with race 2, the top 10 being reversed, but certainly for now you just want to be able to grab as many points as possible and race as hard as you can. Sean Bingham's 0.2 lined up behind Brett Crocombe, still trying to find a way past. Tire smoke pouring off as they go through the base and onto the final back straight. Has Sean got a big better exit here? He's got some momentum, pulls out of the slipstream and is going to head into the final corner up the inside. Can he keep it nice and clean? Yes, he can. Can Brett come back up the inside? Does he have enough of it? Overlap with the drag race up the main straight, and I think Brett has had a better exit, and he pulls through front again, and you'll have inside line. It's a T1 and should be able to take that position back safely. But these cars swapping positions, keeping the contact clean. Great to see. And just behind them in the pink car, number 13, is Mikhail Matthews, who's looking to pick up any scraps, I'm sure, especially if the drivers happen to come together and have any unfortunate incidents. But certainly also able to get around based on his own merit and steam. Have a look here, just give Timothy Gomez some stream time as well, enjoying himself out there, having some drifts. Timothy Gomez riding in the green, black and a little bit of tinge of red, I guess, on the back rear panel there. Car number 333, and his best lap of 107.215, and just looking to get some good experience here. I think relatively new driver to Division 1, still gaining a lot of good experience. Ross Bartle, meanwhile, not to take anything away from him, sometimes what happens is when you're leading the pack by a significant margin, you don't often get a lot of screen time just because you're so dominant that you're not coming within any battles on track. But here Ross is with a comfy lead of about 4 seconds down to Nick Hudson in P2. And he's coasting right now. His last lap of 106.209. This is just going to be a 106.7-ish, somewhere there. 106.4, pardon me. And just looking to manage his tires now, I'm sure, and keep them nice and under control, just in case Nick Hudson does manage to claw that gap back. Nick's best lap of 106.008, his last lap of 106.219, so slightly quicker than Ross Bottle, but I'm sure there's just a little bit of a race management, time management going on as we look back now into the battle for P3 with Brett Kokamp, Sean Bingham tucked in behind, looking to be on the attack once more. So they'll head into the basin, and they'll both be looking to get the best of exits onto this long back straight, especially seeing as Sean might be able to get a little bit of a slipstream. And Lodgy's looking back off the rear of Brett Kokamp into P4 and 5. And Sean's pulling out to, looks like he was having a little look there, but Brett has run very defensive up into T1. Rightfully so. And sorry, let's go on board here, sorry, with Sean Bingham. Just have a look at what the lines, or the defensive lines of Brett Kokamp is doing, just to try and maintain their position, very quickly looking to get the inside there, not opening up any doors. Sean Bingham having a little look, but has to pull out of it down into the basin. Not a lot of room there. You run out of track very soon, getting very close to the back of Brett Kokamp though. And if he manages to have gotten on the power early and manages to enjoy enough, a little bit of a slipstream, Brett's running defensive already up the inside. A little bit of an overlap, but he's going to have to force, he's gone left now. Can't make another move, so Sean has no option but to look at the inside. And running very wide there. Brett Kokamp does hobbles back over the curbs that may have even compromised him a little bit. Into T1, we'll have to see what manages to happen here. Kyle Matthews also very close now to the back of them in the pink 13. And just under the last minutes of the race. And looks like if all things considered stay here put right now, Greg Hofart currently in P10. He will be starting race 2 in P1. But for now, these guys certainly in the upper mid packs and final podium position fights, they're going to want to hit that final podium position. The points are extremely valuable. The points drop off is very large. Every position counts. Another overlap does Sean Bingham. Going down that long back strat, he's up and alongside Brett Kokamp. He's looking for the inside line and he's got it. But again, we saw Brett Kokamp manage to attack and come back last time with a better exit. It's a drag race yet again up the line. I tell you, if this goes to the final lap, which we are on now, that was not the finish. That could be a photo finish coming up across the line if that same maneuver happens. And we'll have to go and verify the replays, essentially, almost, who's going to take those final positions. I'm looking quickly now for where Ross Bartle is on track. Okay, he's heading up down into the basin now. And that'll be an easy victory for Ross and Nick Hodson in P2, but it's all about this battle for third and who's going to take it between these drivers. It looks like currently Brett Kirk. Oh, there's a spin. I think it's Sean Bingham in the red and black goes spinning off. We didn't quite see what happened there, unfortunately. But it does mean for now at least Brett Kokamp has relieved that pressure and maintains P3. I'm sure if there were any contacts involved, we'll be calling on the stewards just to review post-race. But for now, Brett Kokamp takes P3. Honors just behind Nick Hodson in P2, and Ross Bartle takes the victory for race 1. We will be back in approximately 4 minutes time with race 2. Don't go anywhere. It is going to be a top 10 reverse grid. I'll be back in about 4 minutes.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 2024.2A season here at SimRace SA. This is the first round for the simClioCup Cup at Barbagallo and we are about to do a hot lap coming around the last corner. Make sure you get a great exit so you get the most amount of speed going over the start finish line in 4th gear, looking for our braking point just past the cone on the left, down to 3rd gear. Don't use 2nd, allow the torque of this little Clio to pull you out of the corner and keep as nice and tight as you possibly can through the S's here. Turns 2 and 3, not really turns, absolutely flat out, down to 3rd gear once more for turn 4, very tight through turn 4, straighten the car up and flicking into 4th gear a little bit early. You'll find that this car has the torque, you can shift a little bit earlier, sticking all the way out wide for turn 6 and cutting in hard and on the power as early as you possibly can. You want to get the best exit possible out of turn 6 all the way down this long straight. Again, you can see me shifting slightly early into 4th and then slightly early into 5th as we go up and over the crest of the Tate straight, looking for our braking point just before that shadow, getting the car turned in early and back on the power early through turn 7, and we'll go across the line for a 1 minute 5.942.
Right, we are back and we are in the countdown for race 2 right now. Clock on the top middle of your screen, a little bit small, but you can see we have about 40 seconds from now before the start of the race. We'll have the cars lining up on the grid, and I do believe it's going to be Greg Hofart out in position 1, as he essentially had... in fact, I know Greg was in the orange car. It looks like someone else is ahead of him right now, actually. That is... apologies, Melvin Coast manages to put Greg Hofart to the post. And we'll be starting on P1, so alongside him in the orange is Greg Hofart then. And we are about to have the lights come on. We see the 6 greys. As soon as we see 6 reds, 6 reds go off. 3, 4, 5, 6 red lights waiting for the go. Go. We are racing race 2. Melvin Coast gets a good start there up on Greg Hofart, who does, however, have the inside line and thus the advantage going into T1. But if there's enough of an overlap, Melvin should be able to maintain a better speed around the outside. But Greg manages to place his car well and is just slightly squeezing Melvin Coast out there on the start. But it's essentially a whole bunch of S's now into Shale Corner, and Melvin Coast has the advantage again, leading through that left-hander into the first of the back straights. And for now, looks like he's going to take and retain that lead. All cars got away cleanly, the whole pack coming through. And it's going to be very interesting to see the fast drivers make their way through. Oh, Jeremy Deville is getting really hot up the inside of Greg Hofart there and has a little bit of a hello up your rear trumpet. And we'll go on board here with Jeremy de Villiers. We see in his blind spot to the right we have Ryan Ludick, who's slipping back in behind. He needs to avoid contact with Greg Hofart, and that braking action is going to allow Ryan Ludick to come up the inside. And, just trying to find the best camera angle to see this action happening down into T1. There's a bit of a concertina effect as all the cars come together, but they seem to be playing nicely through T1. And again, it looks like Sean Bingham in the mix here already up into P4, up and cocking a wheel off the side of the curbs there and onto the grass. Oh, that's unfortunate. Sean Bingham goes and almost collects the barrier, or the advertising board that is, but is able to get back on track now, and I'm sure is going to start his recovery drive. Wish all the best to Sean. And not having the best race tonight out there, but a long way to go now. 18 minutes, still the majority of the race to go, and being quick you can certainly catch up quite a lot. Meanwhile, Melvin Coast out the Namibian in front, paced down by Greg Hofart, Ryan Ludick and Jeremy de Villiers hunting for that final podium position. We have an overlap here. It is Brett Kirkhamp in white, remember, up the inside as well of Jeremy de Villiers, Ross Bartle just behind, and Nick Hodgson. These are the quick guys coming through. We're going to go on board with Nick Hodgson looking onto the back, and on his blind side just behind, I think it's Ross Bartles. There might be a little bit of a contact of feeling the cars look like they're twitching a little bit, almost like they have had some contact. running ever so close there. I'm sure there was at least some rubbing. Rubbing is racing, as they say, especially in these smaller tin tops. Look at that trio in the midfield. Kotzen, Ross Bartle, and that is Stas van der Westhuizen, who we're going to go on board with now as well, looking onto the back of these three drivers. I think all drivers, these three drivers have selected the same livery, I believe, as they might be representing the same team, essentially. I know a good deal of them represent Black Owl Sim Sports Racing, and no team orders there whatsoever, racing nice and hard for the championship. In the foreground we see Brett Kokamp all over the back of Jeremy de Villiers, who manages to keep it nice and tidy as they form a line. And breaking out there, it looked like was Nick Hudson, I think, just having a look. Up the inside. They're almost 2 or 3 wide at one point, just breaking out of turn 1 there. And ever so close here on the back of each other. And there's a look at that battle up front. That's Greg Hofart in the orange now, who's managed to take P1, and off track goes Melvin Close, who's going to place under an incredible amount of pressure from Jeremy de Villiers behind. I think it's going to close up. Not so much. He actually has Brett Kokamp and the rest of the pack to deal with. Brett being in the white car, of course, and just behind you'll see Nick Hudson and Ross Bartle, both in the orange and black. Slightly different cars, actually, 125 and 75, but similar livery. Oh, a little bit squiggly over the curb there does get Brett. And certainly this reverse grid racing does make for a lot of close racing action as the faster guys try and muscle their way through. As cleanly as possible, of course. Oof, a lot of the argy-bargy there. I think that was that Stas van der Westhuizen? This trio blitz their way through at about 180 k's an hour. I see Brett Kokamp and Jeremy de Villiers going side by side. Brett Kokamp has managed to get past Jeremy de Villiers. And they are literally going side by side now down the back straight. Does Jeremy have a bit more of an overlap? Now, where is he? He's on the inside. Oh, there's some rubbing, but both managed to keep it pointed in the right direction. Side by side, the drag race continues, tucked in behind. Look at how close that is for Ross Bartle in the orange and black, just up the inside now, but he's going to be sandwiched and boxed in behind Brett Kokamp as they continue to go around almost 2 by 2. Some great hard racing here by Division 1. And it looks like Jeremy de Villiers just gets back in front of Brett Kokamp there. Jeremy in the pink car number 13. And Brett Kokamp in the... there's some big pushing going on here. And Brett seems to have muscled his way through Jeremy de Villiers. He does extremely well to keep it pointed in the right direction there, not spin all the way around. I'm sure he's going to be a little bit fuming in that cockpit, and we might need to call upon the stewards just to have a second look at that after the race, just to see if there was any wrongdoing there deserving of a penalty. But regardless, now he's on his way again, and it looks like he has Timothy Gomez behind him for company. Timothy on board now in the green and black car number 333. Sean Bingham continues his recovery drive from that early farming trip, and he finds himself behind Brett Kokamp now. He's also dropped back quite a bit. Perhaps he was trying to wait for Jeremy de Villiers, I'm not sure. Or if it was just a result of that contact in both cars, essentially losing out so many positions just because of how close and competitive this racing is. The yellow car of Mike McGeer up front, nice and easy to spot, is looking to attack Stas van der Westhuizen, and right now we're going to go on board and just have a look at how they do as they round the basin, which is the final corner behind the back straight. Mike has had a great run up the rear end of Stas here. he's got a good overlap hanging. He will have the inside line into the final corner, and this should be a good pass, provided he can keep it clean, not break too late, outbreak himself. Ooh, a little bit of an inside curb tap there, and there's a car spinning. Who is tumbling? It's Ross Bartle, who is tumbling down the order as we go 3 by 3 into Team 1. 3 into 1 does not go, chaps. Keep it 2 at least. And Morse drifting around the track there in the background. We saw Brett Crocombe. And meanwhile, Mike McGear manages to lead this pack of 4 coming through, followed closely by Mikhail Matthews, who we're going to jump on board with right now. Unfortunately, can't quite see the mirrors of the cars behind. We just see a little bit of a proximity red arrow from this dash cam. But he has, there we go, Melvin close behind him. We'll see how close he gets under braking now through the base and onto this final back straight. Sean Bingham also looking very threatening in the mirrors there of Melvin Close's car, I'm sure, as they go side by side. And we'll see Melvin Close will have the outside. Sorry, Mike McGear, apologies, in the yellow. And that is the car number 13, pink, of Mikhail Matthews. Currently in P4 as they cross the line, but just behind him, Mike McGear is going to look. No, he slipped back in. Having a look right now onto T1. As they make their way through the S's, it's like they've settled down a tad. Mike McGear, I think, still might have an edge here. We're looking at a best lap time of 106.76 compared to Mikhail Matthews, the best of 106.1. Theoretical best times here when you're not battling other cars around you, because there's a large train of cars here. This is essentially for P4 led by Mikhail Matthews. A little bit further down the track, we're going to have a look at Sean Bingham now, again side by side with that is Melvin Koos in the other red and white car, Sean in the red and black. It almost looks like Brett Crocombe there has also just made his way through. And indeed, in the foreground there, we were just seeing the tail end of Brett Crocombe in the white. I can try and get that position now. Jeremy de Villiers still looking menacing. Oh, there's been some big contact, and Brett Crocombe is essentially had a massive tank slapper, and in the kitty lifter he may have even beached the car over there right now, and manages to get it unstuck and pointed in the right direction again, and off he goes. And we've just seen a DNF. Unfortunately, Melvin Close has retired from the race. He will be taking no further points for race 2, but banking those points from race 1. We're going to hop back down to the closest battle I can see on track right now is on Sean Bingham, 0.4 seconds behind Mike McGear in the yellow car ahead. Puffs of smoke here. Sean Bingham looking to close this gap to Mike McGear. I don't think he's going to be able to be attacking on this particular lap with tire smoke as they're around the final corner. Is Sean going to have a little look up the inside? He's trying to see if he has some momentum. Pulls out of the slipstream, but it's not enough room. He bails out of that one and just has to go around again. We're going to have a quick jump up to the top end of the field right now. We do have Nick Hodson currently in P2 hunting down Ryan Ludick. Ryan Ludick, a new name at SimRace South Africa, certainly at the top edge of Division 1. We have not seen him before, so great to see holding on to top spot here, Ryan Ludick. And he is being chased by Nick Hodson. Pretty menacing there in the rear does Nick Hodson, looking to challenge for P1 now. He is on the first of the back straights. I don't know if he's got enough. Oh, he's trying to go up the inside right now. He does before they even gets to the back straight, but Ryan Ludick is going to be able to potentially get a better exit. It's a very far camera angle. Apologies for that. We'll do the best we can as they're essentially having a drag race right now up the main straight. Sorry, the back straight. And that is going to be Ryan Ludick up on the inside of the final corner. And I think Nick Hodson has enough of an overlap to slingshot around the outside and take P1 of this race so far. 5 minutes and a bit to go. And off and around they go again. I'm going to jump back down to Sas van der Westhuizen, next closest battle on track. 0.8 seconds behind Mike Begeer is in the yellow, you can see. And follow his progress as he tries to catch up. Field spread out a little bit now. Watching Mikhail Matthews try and see if he can make his way up to challenge for a podium position. That's the orange and white car of Greg Hofart in front that you can see sort of in the distance. As you can see by this nice wide angle shot, yeah, cars are definitely spread out a little bit now. In the dying stages of the race, we're going to find the next battle on track is Sas van der Westhuizen, 0.6 seconds behind Mike Begeer, who has a little bit of a moment coming around that corner of Skyline. Big tire smoke puffing, and I'm sure Sas is going to be looking for any opportunity to pass now in the dying stages of this race. 3 minutes left. We go on board the final back straight. Up the inside, having a little look, but has to back out of it and to slip back in through Mike Begeer. Keeps it inside the track limits, a little bit squiggly over the curbs, trying to correct it. Still, meanwhile, up in front, Nick Hodson leading, Ryan Ludick in second, Greg Hofart 1.6 seconds behind. Kyle Matthews all over the back here of Greg Hofart, and looked like a little bit of an overlap. I'm not sure there's going to be enough of an overlap, and he has to back out of it. Yep, just heading through the final corner. Oh, slight overlap now, but he's definitely not going to have enough of a drag race. I think Greg had enough steam on it. Let's say that, and Kyle Matthews has a lovely dive up the inside of T1 here. Both drivers keeping it nice and clean, but Kyle Matthews has been able to take that position and slots himself into P3, that final position on the podium. Can he hang on to it, or can Greg fight back? Meanwhile, Ryan Ludwig, I think he's just under a second behind Nick Hudson, but I think it's looking like that gap is pretty consistent and steady. And certainly Nick Hudson, not one known for making any sort of chance of mistakes. Sas van der Westhuizen, meanwhile, now further down the pack, battling for P6. Just under a minute now left in this race, and this is heated up here, but there's a little bit of traffic. It's Jeremy de Villiers in P8 in the pink, who's come up all over the back of Sas van der Westhuizen and Mike McGear in yellow. This is all battling for P6 right now and final honors. A little bit of a contact there. I'm just watching the front of Sas's car. Jeremy de Villiers hunting in behind. He'll be on board with Sas now, just on the tail end of Mike McGear. This is going to be the final. No, leaders now on the final lap. Oh, there's a big dive up the inside, does Sas, and manages to keep it around. Both cars doing extremely well here to keep it inside track limits and not make contact with each other. It's a drag race up the finish. Looks like... Oof, was that the final of the race? I think it was indeed. Those cars are piling up. So Mikhail, well, Sas van der Westhuizen, I'm not actually sure who took top honors there. I'm going to quickly see if I can check if the other tower is going to reveal that for me very briefly. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it is, but certainly there. I had to head back to the pits. Nick Hudson, Ryan Ludwig reporting as taking top honors, Kyle Matthews in third, Sean Bingham in fourth position. And yeah, kudos to the podium winners. And that is it for round one of the SimRace South Africa Renault Clio Cup drivers. Thank you very much to everyone for joining in tonight, for joining us on track. It looked like Sas van der Westhuizen beat Mike McGear, and he was beaten by Greg Hofart there at the final end. I was just trying to get a final leaderboard there. We'll have to sort that out for next time. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone for watching and for tuning in tonight, and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.